my goodness, what a great first set of chapters to just go through. We just dive into the world of Luthadel, where everything's gloomy, dark, ash always falls from the sky, there's like a blackened theme within the city, the roads are black, everything is just so depressing, the slums are filled with skaa people. Here we are in Luthadel, we finally get to meet Vin. Now Vin currently is a street skaa thief who works for this guy called Camon. Oh my days, we'll get to him in a moment. But Vin, we also know some sort of background from her. So Vin was abandoned by her brother called Reen. He would take her to different criminal organizations, one by another, but this time under Camon's crew, Reen actually abandoned her with all his debt. So now she can't be alone, and also she's never been alone. She doesn't know what to do if she was to leave, so out of fear and out of just numbness, she can't leave. We start off with Vin just isolated. She does not want to be engaged by anyone, does not want to talk to anyone. We know one thing for sure, she is severely mistreated. But there is one person that she somewhat trusts within this criminal organization that she's a part of right now, and his name is Ulef, or I'll just call him Ulef. Now Ulef came up to her saying that Camon, her leader, is looking for her, and she's like, yeah, he's the exact same person that I'm trying to avoid right now. Anyway, then she goes up to him, and then he's like, where the heck were you? And straight after he says that, slaps her straight across the face, no hesitation, she flies across the room, and that's the first impression that we got of Camon. And honestly speaking, he's just a typical early villain that we normally see within this type of stories. Big old pudgy man who's arrogant and greedy and just wants the worst, and yeah, you just don't like those people. But obviously me coming from a movie background, I'm not really so involved in books. It feels more annoying this time, and I really don't like him. I absolutely despise him. Now the plot for the next few chapters is going to be Camon and his criminal organization. He also has his partnership with this guy called Theron, we'll just call him Theron. Their plan is to scam an obligator to take their goods or any kind of services on ships, or just to escort them from point A to B, and they want to sign a huge contract where they'll just technically scam them and just run away with the money. And Theron is the guy who, he is also bringing in initial funds and all the planning and management, and there's a bit of a tension between Camon and Theron, and Vin definitely understands that from the start. Now, as mentioned before, Reen, her brother, who abandoned her and left all the debt, now Camon thinks that he is doing her a good service by not selling her off to some nobleman, or he thinks he's doing a very good deal. Like, you know, why am I even keeping you in the first place? You should be lucky to deal with such a brat like yourself. You know, that's Camon's mentality with Vin. And through Vin's point of view, we often know that she's been bruised many times by whips, hits, and it's just not good, you know. It's very dark on how she's treated. Her age should be around 13, 14, 15, within that range, and she is tiny, she's scrawny, she is skaa. We know that she is a skaa. And not surprisingly, through all the experiences that she's been going through, she's very cold. She doesn't trust people. She second guesses everything. Camon brings Vin to every single criminal operations, or when he tries to execute a plan, Vin always is there because he sees her as a lucky charm. However, this luck that we're talking about, Vin actually has some sort of power where she's able to manipulate anyone's emotion, and she calls that luck. She can only have so much, so sometimes she tries to reserve it for any given situations. Sometimes she even reserves it to calm Camon down before he tries to punish her. So Vin has something special about her called luck. So-called luck. Now the first operation that we are dealing with is Camon and his crew is currently meeting up with an obligator. They did so, and he's acting as this lord, or a noble lord, who is trying to sign a contract to transfer goods and services for an obligator. And these obligators, they are very hesitant. They're like, okay, why the heck would we sign your contract? You know, we don't have a good reason because you're not doing that well. And then Camon, out of desperation, says, you know, if you choose me, who's the desperate one, you won't regret it because you will get good service and you will see results. Now the obligator isn't buying it, and then Vin uses her luck. She's able to manipulate his emotions where he's calming and he's agreeing, and therefore he's like, all right, let me see what I can do. I will send your proposal over and hopefully we will get your contract signed. Now we move to chapter 2. Chapter 2, we started with Kelsier's point of view. Let me just say in advance that Kelsier is such an awesome character. Every single time he has a scene, it's just so good. Like Kelsier so far, even though we've only met him, 3 chapters and including the prologue, he's made such a big impression already, and he's as awesome as I remember, and I just can't wait to read more of him. Now, just some background information here in chapter 2. We know that Luthadel, again, as mentioned before, so dark and so black, so gloomy, it's just so depressing. You also have the skaa cleaning the ashes that falls from the sky every single day, and they chuck that in the river. I forgot the river's name, but they take it to the river and then they just dump it there. You could just imagine how much polluted this whole world is. The tyrant ruler, also known as the Lord Ruler, he has a palace, which is the biggest building or the biggest piece of infrastructure in this whole city of the Final Empire. Sorry, the whole city of Luthadel, to be specific. The Final Empire is the whole world or planet or whatever it is. I will find out more. But his palace is just a bunch of thousands of spikes. It's just in the near distance where you can see it. It's like a scary castle, of typical villain's castle from those Disney or fairy tale stories. And interesting information also, Luthadel, their main export source is metal. So Luthadel is situated in an area where metal is abundant, which makes sense when we find out more about Allomancy. Another cool piece of information, nobility, the noble people, the noblemen, the noblewomen. This came from when the Lord Ruler, when he first became the Lord Ruler, or maybe just before, just after. Those who favored him, those who supported him, they were granted the privilege of being noble people. And noble people also have the privilege of having Allomancy, which we will later discuss. Jumping back to the story, we meet Doxon, who I believe is a mate of Kelsier, and he meets Kelsier after a few years. Now we know that from the prologue, Kelsier was a survivor of the pits. I think Hatsin, that's how you pronounce it. So he's a survivor. And here we see Doxon just talking about how the death of Tresting from the prologue has caused so much tension within the noble world, and that's exactly what Kelsier wanted. He has a plan, a very interesting plan, which I'm sure we will get to in the next few chapters, but he's firing up a lot of things at the moment, and that prologue, again, to just mention, was absolutely just the ending, just what Kelsier did. Kelsier is him. He is him. Now, Kelsier is trying to create a team. Now, he has mentioned so many things like a smoker and so on, but I'm sure these are terms for a specific power that a person can use within the allomatic world. And another thing is, if a person can have one power, they are called a misting. If a person has more than one power, they are called a Mistborn. So it's either you get one power or you get all of them. Misting, Mistborn. We will get to that later. There's a couple of names that Kelsier has mentioned that he wants on his team. For example, Hams, Breeze, Clubs, he was said to be a hard person to deal with, but I'm sure we will get more to him eventually. Marsh. Marsh is an interesting one. Marsh is Kelsier's brother. Marsh does not want to be involved with any sort of plan going forward. Now, coming back to Vin's point of view, she's getting beaten by this Camon guy again, and seriously, we're going to have to deal with him for a bit longer. So now we find out that Camon is actually betraying his partner, Theron. So he's taking Vin to the Steel Ministry, the Ministry office. Every ministry has obligators, and we know that there's also Steel Inquisitors, which we'll get to in a bit, because my days, these guys are scary. We said that Camon is trying to betray Theron. His plan is to get a very high deposit of boxings. That's their currency. Their currency is called boxings, but he wants to get the deposit and pretty much leave, run away, and let Theron deal with all of the mess that he has created. And since obligators and Steel Inquisitors will be behind Theron, he won't even have time to get revenge on Camon. Anyway, they rock up to the office, try to meet with the obligator that Vin had successfully manipulated to accept the proposal. However, they meet a higher ranking obligator called Ariev. Now, Ariev was the guy who was initially going over the proposal, so he's the one that says yes or no. And he is the guy that rocks up into this meeting, which, yeah, Vin did not have a good feeling about this. But Camon, being Camon, he was greedy as heck. He was like, yep, I am going to try to scam this guy as well. And as expected, this guy Ariev was next level. Vin used her luck on Ariev. However, there was something different this time. Ariev was playing along. He was like, yep, I accept. Here is 3,000 boxings, which was a lot to them. And yeah, your proposal is signed. Just take it to the office and you'll get checked out. Now, he was smiling. He was happy. And Vin was like, if an obligator is happy and smiling, that's never a good sign, which is true. So he took the money and left all happy. And Kelsier was actually outside, which now we go to chapter 3. Kelsier and Doxson was actually spying on them because Marsh actually dealt with Camon and Vin before, and he thinks Vin has the ability to have more than one allomatic power, and Doxson knew about this, and Doxson told Kelsier that's why they are spying on them. And they have noticed the obligator Ariev is now taking a steel inquisitor to hunt them down. Now, a steel inquisitor, oh my days, just the description is insane. They have like the spike bolted down in their eyes, so it's like, oh my dad, how do I explain it? It's like a pointy piece of steel. It goes point first in both of their eyes. It's blank on here, so you can't see their eyes, and you've got 1 inch of the sharpness part just coming straight out of their skull in the back, which is horrific, like absolutely insane. I can't even speak properly. He obviously, just like the obligators, they've got some sort of tattoos as well, but this time they also have a red line. So, and they're quite tall. I don't know if this is the only one that's tall, but I'm assuming they're all going to be quite big. And now we find out how strong Kelsier is, or we can expect him to be strong. So he saw the obligator and steel inquisitor going after Camon and Vin, and he burned zinc. He threw all of his power to the steel inquisitor and shaked up his emotions, and the inquisitor turned back. He was like, huh, who the heck is that? And Kelsier was like to himself, all right, let's play around for a little bit. So Kelsier's plan is to only distract him. So we know that these obligators are so strong because even Kelsier does not have, like, the guts to just go head to head at this moment of time. He wants to redirect the Steel Inquisitor so he can lose his trail on Vin. Coming back to Vin and Camon, they are now in their safe house and Camon is over the moon. He's like, wow, look at us. We just pulled off a crazy mission. He's so happy with his 3,000 boxing. He's just showing it off. He's greedy as heck. He's like drunk as well. Everyone's having a blast except for Vin. She still does not feel good about what happened with that obligator. Just the fact that he smiled, she thinks something is off and she thinks that she should run. Even though she's never been alone, this is the first time ever that she's like, yep, I can't be here. So she can't be alone though. So there's one person that she trusts, and that is Ulef. And he went up to Ulef and he was like, be ready here. I'll come and grab you. Let me just go and grab my stuff. And he was like, yep, sure. No worries. I'll wait for you. She goes, does the exact same thing. I think there was also some sort of properties that Reen had left to her that was her mother's. I think there was an earring and a coin, something else. So she comes back. Then she sees that Ulef was right next to Camon, which means that guy snitched on Vin. Camon is really, really angry at the moment. He's got murder in his eyes. He's like to Vin, so you're planning to escape, huh? Literally smacks her, hits her with like stools and literally punches her in the face, punches her on the stomach. Absolutely is destroying her. And again, through Vin's eyes, he has murder in his eyes. He literally is about to kill her. And my goodness, this guy's such a prick. However, door opens and guess who's here? Kelsier arrived, and Kelsier is looking pissed off. He's got fury in his eyes. He literally wants all the smoke at the moment. He walks up, everyone's like, okay, what's going on? Who is this guy? And some random power happened. Camon got slung back. He just flew back without anything happening. And again, this should be or has to be one of the elementic powers. We just don't know yet. But one thing we can confirm is that was done by Kelsier. He literally flicked him away from Vin, and he got up, and then Dockson walks behind him, and I'm pretty sure Dockson is a well-known figure. And then Camon was like, Master Dockson, what are you doing here? And when Camon noticed the scars on Kelsier's hands, which were from the pits of Hatchin, he immediately noticed that it was Kelsier. And Kelsier is quite a big name within this criminal organization. So everyone was like, oh, Kelsier, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Kelsier was like, I've got nothing to do with this dumbass guy called Camon. In fact, who is second in charge here? Also, before that, he actually used luck on everyone and calmed everyone down. So everyone is like, okay, what's going on? But they're somewhat calm. Then Kelsier was like, listen, guys, your leader, he literally dealt with an obligator, did some crazy stuff, and he actually had 2 of those guys coming straight to the safe house, and I killed them. So technically, I saved your life. So you owe me all that money, and yeah, you guys can leave now. I never want to see you guys ever again. And Kelsier was like, one more thing, make sure you deal with this Camon guy. Make sure he's alive, but make sure he regrets being alive. Mate, what an epic thing to say. So that's exactly what happened. They took him away, and yeah, Kelsier is now with Vin and Dockson. They are just in the safe house, and Vin is so cautious. She's like, another guy who's just going to use me in some ways, and yeah, she just doesn't trust him at this point. And here we find a lot of information. So Vin then just was blunt. She was like, who the heck are you? And then what's your motive? Kelsier was like, I'm a leader, a criminal leader, similar to your boss, Camon, but different in a lot of ways. And that's where we find out that Kelsier wants Vin to learn how to control her powers a bit better. He said never to use any emotional elemency on obligators because they are trained to sense and negate that. And that's exactly what happened with Arius. So we know that there are 8 powers of elemency, and even the ability to use one of them is super rare, and it's only common within the nobility. Now, the doctrine that's been taught in this world is elemency has been given by the Lord Ruler to those who had helped him. Therefore, they are now noble people, and only noble people can possess elementic power. Now, not all of them can actually have it. Now, it's very rare, as mentioned before. You'd see like maybe one misting in one family of a noble family. If one person can use more than one power, they are called a Mistborn. And thing is, you can only use 1 or you can use 8. So you can either be a misting or a Mistborn. And Mistborn, well, let's say it's almost impossible to find one. It's so rare that Kelsier's only met 1. Then Kelsier offered Vin a vial of alcohol solution which has metal components inside of it. Vin was obviously skeptical. She's like, no, you drink it first. And then they just ended up doing 50-50. Now, we know that that's one way to ingest metal, and Kelsier just wanted to see something. So if he first asked Vin to make him come, which she tried and it worked. Then he said, make me angry. Make me riled up. Just do something about it. She did that as well. Having the ability to calm someone and having the ability to rile up someone. These are 2 separate abilities, and Vin has just done that, so she has just proven that she is a Mistborn indeed. Now the question is, how is Vin a skaa? A normal skaa street urchin, how is she a Mistborn? Now, we now find out that Vin's mother was a prostitute and her father was a high-level obligator. She most likely got her powers from her father. It's going to be insane meeting this guy in the future. I haven't read Mistborn in like so many years, and nothing is clicking in my head. Like, it's going to be fun. And since Vin is a skaa and a thief and from like a criminal world, normally people who are mistings or Mistborns, they're like in noble environments and they have to follow rules and regulations. That's why Kelsier thinks that Vin is going to be a power to be reckoned with, because she does not have to follow any rules. And that's going to conclude it, guys. That's chapter 1 to 3. I've also done my prologue, so make sure to check that out. It's going to be a fun series. I'm enjoying this book a lot. If you guys are enjoying this, make sure to let me know your comments down below if you have any recommendations or any thoughts, or would love to hear it. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care now. Bye.